ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile? Like 33 stitches in his legs. That's a federal issue. That guy's protected by absolute immunity.
How's it going today? Man, I tell you, woke up this morning and it was like 60 degrees. Windy, but 60 degrees. We woke up. Had some coffees with whiskey. And, by the time I got out of the shower, we thought about what we're going to do for today by try to get stuff ready. And then by the time I got out of the shower, got around, it's down to 49 degrees already. And only going to drop from here. I thought, we're going to have it, the wind is always hard to fight. We're going to get here in the trees and see if it blocks it. I invested in some stuff and somehow forgot to get the adapter I need to hook up my mic to this camera. Whatever. Anyways, the weather's strange, and it's being reported strange everywhere, right? Pink snow, pink fog, a lot of crazy things going on. We're gonna get to some of these things on this channel, future videos. Try to get them planned out right, but it's the changes and it's happening and there's nothing we're going to do about it no more, right? The goal is to guard your heart and stay right with God. Keep your sight right with God. So, like our video yesterday, we talked about Proverbs 3:6, right? I believe that was the one. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And that was the point of that video. And we've got to remember that more now than ever. And acknowledging him is acknowledging his ways. Therefore, in all your ways, let your ways match his ways. Right? And so I want to clarify some of this stuff because I don't want to be taken the wrong way. And I appreciate, and I always take into consideration everyone's comments. Okay? And, so I appreciate the comments. One is anger is a tool of the devil, and that is for sure the truth. And so I just want to clarify my stance and where I was going, because I got pretty heated, right? And sometimes I do that with and we gotta, and this is their goal. And so I just want to clarify some stuff about my whole stance on all that and what I was getting at is that's what gets me the most. It was the stuff that gets me wound up, I guess brings some anger out of me, is because it's like people, this is the problem, the people I know that should be better than this and smarter than this, they're falling for it. And that's their plan. So I want to be clear about this whole thing where the ICE agent, took out the woman in the car, in the vehicle, right? I'm not trying to get on the political side of it. I'm trying to point out some things and how we are letting them control us and how we are losing our humanity based on all this nonsense that keeps going on. Okay? And, no, this way. So, don't pull me down the cliff. Because I'm not trying to be political. And the thing is, at the end of the day, you're going to get caught up in it, whether you really choose to be or not. This way. This way. Anyway, back to that video anyways. But if you notice, that's why whiskey's the best. Okay, he's I rant some of that out in the open on video like a fool or whatever, whatever, just letting it out, letting those feelings out there and the thoughts about it. But when it gets me to the point where I'm starting to get angry, that's where whiskey's the best. I look over at him, he's just all like, and he makes it all better. He'll pull some stunt and make the day all better, right? So we're not digging down through there. That's usually full of water. But okay, so I want to be clear here. This is a stunt. What they pulled. So I might be a little bit bouncing around here, but because I want to clarify my stance and what I'm really getting at. I don't want to be mistaken. And I mean, maybe I made that clear, but I just in case, right? But so here's the thing is it's a psyop. I truly believe that. And even I already believed that, but I want to be clear there. I'm not, I'm saying things. I'm not taking a stance on the actual event. I'm taking a stance on our outlook on things and how we're acting about it is the thing. Because the event itself is a psyop. It's got masonry written all over it. I'm not sure what masonry is, who they are. I did a video. I'll try to post a thing up here about it, right? But they are pretty much the scum of the earth. And all your cops, all your law enforcement are Masons because they are the enforcement group of the top Masons who are the top people of society, right? We can get into that separately. The point is, it's got 33 written all over it, just like most of these events, right? And this woman's connected. This, it stinks, right? It's a psyop, and it's done on purpose to divide us. And that's and we'll get okay. It is done on purpose to divide us, and it's to make us sympathize for one side or the other, right? And they're hoping like mad to get everyone to sympathize with law enforcement. Suddenly you think there's a legit reason that a cop should be able to fire upon a person, right? Without being in true grave danger, right? But I want to be clear, okay? There's too much stuff there. We got it happened right out of nowhere, and somebody just happens to be filming it right there, right? And then within 15 minutes, a dude comes running out, burning the flag, and all of a sudden the media's right on it, the news is all over it. It was done on purpose, knowing, just like the whole Floyd thing, right? That happened right in that same area, like only within a few blocks of each other, right? It's got PSYOP written all over it. And that's what they're doing to control us and manipulate our minds.
But what they're trying to do now is discredit people who are saying that we live in a simulation. They're trying to say, oh, you live in a simulation, nothing is, the whole notion of the simulation is that our reality is contrived by them. They create these events that are fiction, and then in your mind you think that they're real, and that's how they've caused everything that they've caused. That's how they've caused this hysteria, this trans hysteria, this left hysteria, this right hysteria, this division, this civil unrest, things like Trump's assassination, which has done nothing but build up the MAGA obsession, the cult-like martyrs that they're building, all through mind control. That's the simulation. If they didn't have the technology or the television, nobody would care, and nobody would be fighting, and nobody would hate one another. That's the simulation we're living in. The news is a simulation, and it breeds everything they want, and it brings about exactly what they want. That's why it's called problem, reaction, solution. And on top of all that, if you didn't hear J.D. Vance, he has given absolute immunity to the ICE agent, which, of course, for whatever reason, MAGA doesn't seem concerned about, right? The Democrats are concerned about it. What we're seeing is immunity for Mossad, right? Because Mossad and ICE, same exact thing. On U.S. soil, these people are allowed to walk up to you and shoot you in the head. If you don't want to pull over for them, if you don't want to listen to what they have to say, they're not going to arrest you. They're going to shoot you point blank, right? This is the police state. This is what we've all been warning about for years. You're seeing it through ICE. And of course, it's being accepted because these people under mind control are in this obsession over the border because it's been built into their head, all the imagery of people crossing the borders, all the stories that they've made up. Some truths, mostly not. People getting killed by illegals, drugs, illegals, everything's from illegals. It's not from scumbag white people, right? It's from illegals. So they have this in their head, and they're like, ICE could do what they want. Get them out of here. Get them out of here, right? And they realize they're building out a police state where these people have absolute immunity. And guess what? Sooner or later, when they change the rules and they switch from Republican to Democrat, they're going to come for you and have the same exact immunity. Listen to J.D. Vance.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my question. So the head of Minnesota's investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity.
First of all, it's fake, but let's take it on the concept that what if it's real? Okay, let's just take that, and if it's real, I'm gonna tell you my official stance. Going by what we know, if that's real, then the mistake was when the lady turned the car wheel to the right because a gun was pulled on her, right? Clearly, it was avoiding the officer. The officer was not in danger. Okay, this is nonsense, and we're excusing this kind of stuff, and that's my problem, right? Especially what I'm saying is like these MAGA people, they're always the pro-life and all this and that, and they want to act like they're above the left, and when they demonize the left, like they're so much smarter and better people than them. Well, then prove it, right? Because in all your ways, acknowledge God. You take a look at the video. What I'm saying is like this person that's a veteran that posted this long-ass thing. You didn't watch the video. Oh, they did. You watched the video that the news... How many of you slowed it down like I did in the beginning of... I wasn't going to show the video, but I ended up... Because I'm like, clearly people don't understand what's going on. Slow it down and watch it. That officer was not in danger. He put himself into the position and was ready to kill to begin with. Right? But still, I believe it's a PSYOP. Maybe no one actually was even... Right? It's just too... And you watch the way the car hit. I'm just saying it's just too suspicious. And it's got too much 33 this. Every time it's always somebody had 33 stitches or 33 this, or the address was 33 this, right?
If your brain isn't picking up the pattern here, let me remind you, this is a rerun of 2020, right? She's killed right next to where George Floyd was killed, within the same exact vicinity, less than a mile away. And after she's killed, we have riots in Portland beginning after 2 people in Portland are shot. Do you remember what happened in Portland right after the George Floyd event? Protests, police violence, the FBI joins investigations, deadly clashes started occurring, the George Floyd protests in Portland, Oregon. And is it a coincidence that Renee Good happened to be supposedly killed on 33 East Portland Avenue? So we have Portland Avenue where Renee's killed. Then we have an ICE shooting in Portland, Oregon. So you have double Portland right there. And if you look at the people who were supposedly shot, we got the information from the DHS. They're telling us that a 33-year-old man happened to be shot along with a 32-year-old woman. So you have matching Portlands, you have matching 33 numerology. And of course, if you're not familiar, the state of Oregon is the 33rd state. It was the 33rd state admitted to the United States of America. Even the name Renee is filled with 33 coding, right? If you take the E's and you turn them backwards, you get 33, right? Because the E's look like the number 3. And you might have seen this picture as well. If this isn't enough of a joke of how badly they love to just rub these things in our faces and show us that these are productions and movies. There was literally this photo going around, even articles from the mainstream media released, of this dinosaur squashing someone's car. Somebody in this neighborhood probably shelled out a lot of money, I guess, right, to put this dinosaur on top of a car. Now, this isn't a Christmas decoration. Who knows what this is? I mean, it's a movie studio. It's a movie production. That's what it looks like, right? And of course, the police officer is standing there, and in the house right next to it has the number 33, right? 3332, right on the door. And if 33 was the age of the person in Portland shot, 32 is the age of the other person shot as well. 33 everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And even on top of that, we were told by the vice president himself that the ICE officer who was fatally shot happened to have the same thing happen to him a few months ago, where he was dragged by a car back in June. How coincidental, right? This guy's got bad luck. And he ended up needing how many stitches? 33.
This was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his...
It's Masonic in nature, and because they're using this to manipulate us. And my point is, the people on the far right, the Trump base, you're falling for it. They're dehumanizing you. And that was the point I'm trying to get at, and that's where I get angry, because you should be smarter than this. And because the ones that, there's so many of them that act like they're smart. They act like they're smarter than me, for one. They act like, they're closer to God and all this and that. So many of them, and not all of them, right? But and then you watch them fool themselves right into hell, right? It is not okay what happened there. No matter if it's real or fake, the point is we should all be, if MAGA wants to win over the people on the left, then don't be like the people on the left, right? If you want to say what you're doing is evil, then don't accept the same evils. You're doing it in a separate way. They're glorifying cartels, I guess, or whatever you want to say, terrorism or whatever, right? And meanwhile, the right is glorifying tyranny, right? Which is both the same things. It's both against our freedoms. And ultimately, it's a play against our souls, okay? We're telling God where we stand on that. We don't care about life, only the life we want to care about, right? And it's okay here in America, right? It's okay that now that people want to throw on law enforcement this or that, cover their faces up, run around, start blowing people away in the streets. It's not okay. That's what I'm saying. It don't matter what the whole situation is. It matters the point of the matter, right? The whole gist of what they're actually doing. It's not a matter of what really ICE and immigration. This is all, they've proven that with this whole Venezuela scam anyways. Suddenly it's about the oil. Now they're realizing they're getting caught up. Now they're trying to switch it back to drugs and talk about Colombia and all this and that. Let's be clear, the biggest drug dealers is the CIA. And a lot of people have been silenced to the point of death for proving that. Okay? And they're the ones that created all those problems for instability here. Our own government is destabilizing our own nation. They need to bring everyone in the world to their knees, and that's what they're about to do. Okay? Are you aware that the Doomsday plane has now been spotted flying?
Wow, look at this. Oof.
Right? Making its rounds. Our buddy Hegseth, who grew up probably playing fucking video games, and the only thing his life is about war. Okay? That's why they changed it purposely to the Department of War. That tells you we're here for war. I pointed out in one of my videos about the Eagle. Immediately, like as soon as Trump was put in there or whatever, the Eagle now facing the opposite way, which is facing the way of war. They're letting us know, and it's coming to our own place here, and they're hoping to spark it off with civil war, you and I against each other, so that we won't stand together against the real enemy, right? We're not standing against the real enemy. This is why I get heavily censored, pointing out the real truth of the matter. Okay, we're getting nowhere fighting each other. That's why I was getting angry about this stuff. You know, right? The people on the right, don't be, if you're trying to win people over, well, you can't be falling for all the damn bullshit and being just like them, right? It's unacceptable that any police force is over here on our streets shooting anyone, taking any life, unless there is a real valid threat, unless they have caused harm. This is what we don't understand. We're going to excuse it now. That's how they're getting you. They're separating us. They're excusing hatred against this group. You're okay with it. Hatred against that group, you're not okay with it because you're part of that group, right? Vice versa. Soon enough, you hate each other and you don't care, right? We've warned for years about, oh, they're going to be coming in the streets of America, taking people off the streets. Well, they're already doing it. And they're starting it under the guise of this immigration shit that they caused, right? That the government caused. You want to do something about it, arrest the people that caused it, not the innocent people who believed they were coming over for a better life. Okay? They're telling you crime, this and that. Oh, and then there's people who haven't had their family harmed by an immigrant, or on here saying, have you had your family harmed by an immigrant? Well, you didn't either, so shut the fuck up. Right? Because, yeah, that's happening, but it's a low case. But what about bringing the people to justice that caused it? Right? But that's not what we want to see. That's not how we're going to see it. Come on. But that's my point, is because I'm watching people sell their souls to this stuff, right? Like I said, I believe it's fake, but you should be siding on the matter of, first of all, you should do your due diligence and slow the video down and watch it properly yourself to form your own opinion instead of letting the news or anyone else guide you through it. Because I'm seeing people on the MAGA side, and I'm not talking about people personally, I'm talking about like major channels who don't even watch my videos, right? But they used to be on the side of truth, and now suddenly they're making excuses for all this stuff because they don't want to admit that they're wrong about Trump, right? So suddenly this and that is okay, and it's not okay. It's not okay. Period. And this is how they're getting you. They're making you feel like, oh, well, it's, you know, it's not justified. The cops have no right pulling a gun on anyone unless there is a clear and valid threat. Simply. It's vice versa, and we don't understand that. And that's why we're losing. Because I am a 2A supporter. You know, but the truth is, I'm all for getting rid of all the guns. But by that, I mean all the guns. Government, you throw yours down, then I'll throw mine down. Okay? Let's be clear. I'm not a hunter. I'm not, what are you doing? Stop. I'm not, you know, nothing like that. I believe in the right to bear arms because of what it really represents. And my stance is, if anyone pulls a weapon on you, you use another weapon to neutralize that threat. I don't care who they may be. If I'm innocent and you threaten my life, understand you better take it because yours is threatened too at that time. And that's what we don't understand. We want to glorify the police for everything. No, most of the time they're the ones pulling people over in numbers, right? Never singular. It used to be way different. And we act like, oh, well, that's because people are, no. They are the problem. They started arming up, dressing in military gear to pull you over for traffic violations. Right? And during those traffic stops, they start violating your rights, ruining your life, finding reasons to throw you in jail and fine you up the ass. People get sick of it. And people are getting sick of, for no reason, guns being pulled on them by these thugs who you get itchy trigger fingers, who know they're going to get away with it. But the people on the, you know, not all the people on the right? But, you know, all these ones that claim to be so godly, and they're quickly demonizing the female to glorify the cop, right? Is that acknowledging God in all your ways? It's not, right? But I do want to be clear. I believe it's a scam, a psyop, just like most of this stuff is. But my point is, no matter being psyop or not, what it's doing, and that's their goal is happening. And my point is to try to help enough people see, hey, don't fall for their shit. Don't fall for their shit. We need to stand together where it matters, okay? Let's just all take for account. The government's trying to make us believe it's real, so let's just all pretend it's real and take it for what it's worth, okay? That means every one of us, no matter who you're voting for, every one of us as Americans should be concerned about this, so we should all stand together. Not, oh, you damn protesters, let the cops do their job, right? Let's look at it for what it is. The cops, on more occasions than this, are taking out American citizens. That's unacceptable, period. Right? If you don't agree with that, then you are not acknowledging God in your ways. And you need to put yourself in check. Every one of us need to consider that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to take a political stance on this, and you know, because I know my point ain't about the politics of it. It's about life, liberty, and happiness, the rights to it that we all have. And this is the government's ploy to make you think that this reason and that reason and every reason we can find is a reason that you don't deserve any of that, or your neighbor doesn't, right? What I took from some of these so far, 2 different comments, and they were all good, and that's what I'm trying to say. I agree. I don't want to be political. One of them said about staying away from that. I'm trying to help each other, God's people, look at the game plan, at the little traps that Satan is putting there. And yes, indeed, he is using your political leaders, right? And then the other comment about the anger is a tool of the devil, and yes, indeed, it is, right? And so we all got to be careful about how we let that anger. But it is it we're being angry about, right? And that's my point about that too, right? We're letting them decide for us what to be angry about, right? You got the people on the right angry at the Democrats because of the protests. People on the left. And then the people on the left angry about, you know, they got us fighting each other over shit we don't even take the time to understand. Let's understand something. I don't agree with most of the shit on the left, but one thing I do agree on, right? I thought the people on the right was pro-life. One thing I do agree on is they're not going to come here and start taking out American citizens unless there is a true, valid reason to do so, right? No matter if it's real or fake, you need to ask yourself where you stand on that issue, right? Anyways, thanks for watching. Whiskey and I, we appreciate it very much. Hopefully you have a great day, and watch yourselves out there. It's an ever-changing world. We get eviler. But it's their conclusion of no matter. Fear God and keep all his commandments. For that is the duty of man. For God will bring every judgment of every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.